now we'll string on our first 2 beads and the loop on half of our clasp. Slide everybody down toward the knot and then pass the needle back through the bead closest to the clasp without piercing the thread. Leave about an inch of working room between the bead close to the clasp and the second bead that you strung, or second bead in your design, and then make an overhand knot, placing the second bead through the knot and then pulling that knot close to the bead next to the clasp. And if you need to, just use a pair of tweezers to make sure and guide that knot closer to the bead. Pull that tight. Pass the needle back through what was the first bead you strung, becomes the second bead in your design. And tie an overhand knot using the working thread and your tail thread. And so the knot lands right below the second bead. Looks like I need to do that one more time so the knot stays above the bead. There we go. And now we'll continue on using the bead knotter. We'll thread on the next bead in the pattern. Form a loop in the thread. Pass the pearls through that loop, forming an overhand knot. Insert the awl of the bead knotter. Pull the knot so it rests against that last bead. Pull the thread up over the fork on the tool. Tighten everything up, and then as you lift the tool, the thread will slide off of the awl on the tool and tighten that knot right up against the bead. And then we'll continue on, and then we'll add the clasp on the second half. So we've knotted between each of the beads in our design, and we're ready to add the last 2, and then the other half of our clasp. Get those on. Thread on the other half of the clasp. We'll pass the thread back through the last bead strung. And if you need a little bit of help pulling the thread through, feel free to use some pliers. It's a lot of thread through that bead. And just tighten everything up. Making sure that the thread is spaced evenly between the clasp and the last bead. and then tie a half hitch knot between the last and the next to last bead. Tighten that down. And then, once everything is set, apply some hypo cement to the beads, the last bead here, and from the beginning, the beads here and here, and then trim your tails once the glue has cured. Once you've mastered this skill, there's endless possibilities for the knotted necklaces and designs you can create.